The fluorescent lights of the Seattle drugstore flickered, casting a sterile glow over aisles of shampoo and toothpaste. But for Marcus Grant, the world stopped spinning the moment he saw them. Three faces, impossibly familiar, stood laughing in aisle 7. Their voices a haunting echo of a life stolen from him 24 years ago. His heart thundered as he clutched the basket in his trembling hands, the weight of a lost decade crashing into a single, surreal moment. Marcus, a 45-year-old black man with a lean frame and eyes that carried the weight of too many sleepless nights, had spent half his life searching. In 2001, his triplets, newborns barely a month old, were taken from him in a cruel twist of fate orchestrated by a vindictive ex-partner and a flawed system. He'd been a young, openly gay father in Atlanta, fighting for custody when the courts, swayed by prejudice and lies, ruled against him. His ex, Vanessa, vanished with their children, Amara, Diego, and Riley, leaving no trace. For years, Marcus chased leads across the country, from dive bars in Miami to shelters in Chicago, each dead end carving a deeper scar. Now, in a random Rite Aid in Seattle, there they were, grown, vibrant, alive. He didn't know how to move. His legs felt like lead, his breath shallow. The triplets, now 24, were a striking trio. Amara, a black woman with intricate braids and a confident laugh. Diego, a Latino man with warm brown eyes and a playful smirk. And Riley, a trans non-binary person with short, electric blue hair and a quiet intensity. They were debating shampoos, their banter light but laced with an unspoken bond. Marcus's basket slipped from his hands, hitting the floor with a soft thud. Amara glanced over, her smile faltering as their eyes met. Did she feel it too? That inexplicable pull, like a thread stretched across time? He took a step forward, then stopped. What could he say? "I'm your father" sounded like a line from a bad movie, and yet it was the truth that had burned in his chest for decades. He'd imagined this moment 1,000 times, but never like this, never so ordinary, so human. The weight of 24 years pressed against his ribs, a mix of joy and terror. He'd lost them to a system that didn't believe a gay black man could be a father. Would they even want him now? Amara nudged Diego, her voice low. "That guy's staring." Diego turned, his gaze sharp but curious, while Riley's eyes narrowed, assessing. Marcus swallowed, his throat dry. He had to say something, anything, before the moment slipped away. "Excuse me," he managed, his voice cracking. I think I know you." The triplets exchanged glances, a silent conversation passing between them. Diego stepped forward, his posture protective. "Do we know you?" he asked, his tone cautious but not unkind. Marcus's mind raced. He had no proof, no photos. Vanessa had taken everything. All he had was the truth and the ache in his chest. "I'm Marcus Grant," he said, the words tumbling out. I think I'm your father." The air in the aisle seemed to vanish. Amara's hand froze on a bottle of conditioner. Diego's jaw tightened, and Riley's eyes widened, searching Marcus's face for something. Recognition, maybe, or deceit. The drugstore's hum faded, leaving only the pounding of Marcus's heart. Amara broke the silence, her voice sharp. "Our father? We don't have a father. Our mom said he left us." Her words cut deeper than Marcus expected, but he held her gaze, seeing his own stubbornness reflected in her eyes. "Your mom, Vanessa. She took you from me," he said softly. "I've been looking for you since 2001. Diego crossed his arms, skeptical. "That's a hell of a story, man. You expect us to believe you just show up after 24 years. Riley, quieter, tilted their head, studying Marcus like a puzzle. "Why now?" they asked. their voice steady but laced with something vulnerable. Why here? Marcus's hands shook as he gestured to the shampoo bottles. I didn't plan this. I was just here. And then I saw you. All three of you. His voice broke, and he hated how raw it sounded, how exposed. You were babies when I lost you. Amara, you had this tiny birthmark on your wrist. Diego, you'd cry unless I sang to you. Riley, you'd stare at me like you already knew the world was complicated. The triplets froze. Amara glanced at her wrist, where a faint birthmark still lingered. Diego's skeptical smirk faded, and Riley's breath hitched. How do you know that? Riley whispered. Marcus took a shaky step closer, his eyes pleading. Because I held you, I loved you, and I never stopped. The aisle felt like a stage, the world narrowing to this fragile moment. Amara's eyes glistened, torn between disbelief and something softer. Diego's shoulders softened, but his guard stayed up. Riley, though, took a small step forward, their voice barely audible. What do you want from us? Marcus's heart cracked open. I just want to know you, he said. If you'll let me. The Seattle rain began to fall outside, a soft patter against the drugstore windows, as the triplets led Marcus to a small coffee shop across the street. They sat in a corner booth, the air thick with tension and unspoken questions. Over steaming mugs, Marcus told them everything. The custody battle, Vanessa's lies about his unfitness as a gay father, the years of searching. He spoke of Atlanta in 2001, a city less forgiving than today, where his love for his partner, James, was used against him in court. James, who died in a car accident a year after the triplets were taken, leaving Marcus to grieve alone. Amara listened, her fingers tracing the rim of her mug. Mom said you didn't want us, she said, her voice softer now, almost breaking. She said you walked away. Marcus shook his head, his eyes burning. She lied, Amara. I fought until I had nothing left. Diego leaned back, his arms still crossed. So what now? You want to play dad after 24 years? His tone was sharp, but his eyes betrayed a flicker of longing. Riley, ever the observer, chimed in. He's not asking for that, Diego. He's asking for a chance. The conversation stretched late into the night, the coffee shop emptying around them. Marcus learned fragments of their lives. Amara was a graphic designer, fiercely independent. Diego, a community organizer with a quick wit. Riley, a poet and activist, navigating their trans identity with quiet strength. They'd grown up in foster care after Vanessa abandoned them at age 5, moving between homes in California before settling in Seattle. They'd found each other as teens, their bond unbreakable despite the years apart. As the night ended, Amara scribbled her number on a napkin. We need time, she said, her voice firm but not unkind. This is a lot. Marcus nodded, clutching the napkin like a lifeline. Take all the time you need, he said. I'm not going anywhere. The next week was a blur of hope and hesitation for Marcus. He stared at Amara's number on the napkin, now creased from being unfolded and refolded 100 times. Every night, he sat in his small Capitol Hill apartment, the Seattle skyline glittering beyond his window, wondering if he'd scared them off. He didn't push, didn't call. He'd learned long ago that love couldn't be forced, only offered. Amara, Diego, and Riley, meanwhile, were wrestling with their own storm of emotions. In their shared apartment in Fremont, they sat cross-legged on the living room floor, a pizza box between them, debating what to do. He seemed genuine, Riley said, their voice thoughtful. But what if he's not? What if this is some kind of scam? Diego snorted, tossing a crust into the box. A scam for what? We're not exactly rich. Amara, staring at her wrist's birthmark, stayed silent. She'd felt something in that drugstore, a spark of connection she couldn't shake. Finally, Amara texted Marcus, suggesting a meetup at a park near Lake Union. The day was crisp, the water sparkling under a rare sunny sky. Marcus arrived early, his heart racing as he spotted the triplets approaching. Amara wore a bright yellow jacket, Diego a leather one, and Riley a cozy scarf that matched their blue hair. They looked like a family, Marcus thought, his family, even if they didn't know it yet. The park was alive with joggers and dog walkers, but the four of them found a quiet bench. Amara spoke first, her voice steady but searching. "We talked. We want to know more. But we need proof." Marcus nodded, expecting this. He'd brought a small box of mementos, hospital bracelets from 2001, a faded photo of him and James holding 3 tiny bundles, court documents detailing the custody fight. He handed them over, his hands steady despite the ache in his chest. Diego flipped through the papers, his skepticism softening as he read. "This is real," he said almost to himself. Riley traced the photo with a finger, their eyes glistening. "You look happy here," they said. Marcus smiled, though it hurt. "I was. You 3 were my world." The conversation shifted to lighter things. Amara's art, Diego's activism, Riley's poetry. Marcus listened, soaking in every detail. He told them about his life now. A social worker helping queer youth, a job born from his own pain. He spoke of James, the love of his life, whose laughter still echoed in his dreams. The triplets listened, their walls slowly crumbling. As the sun dipped low, Diego suggested they grab dinner at a nearby taco truck. Over greasy al pastor tacos, they laughed and argued like old friends. Marcus felt a warmth he hadn't known in years, but he also saw the hurt in their eyes. The years of foster care, the abandonment by Vanessa. He wanted to fix it, to make up for lost time, but he knew it wasn't that simple. That night, back in their apartment, the triplets talked late into the night. Amara admitted she felt a connection to Marcus, like a piece of her past clicking into place. Diego was still wary but intrigued, drawn to Marcus's quiet strength. Riley, the most open, suggested they give him a chance. "He's not asking for forgiveness," they said. "He's asking to be part of our lives." The next few weeks were a cautious dance. Marcus met them for coffee, art gallery visits, poetry readings. He learned their quirks. Amara's love for spicy food, Diego's habit of humming when nervous, Riley's knack for finding beauty in small things. Each meeting felt like a gift, but also a reminder of the years stolen. Marcus wrestled with guilt, wondering if he'd fought hard enough back in 2001. Had he missed a clue, a chance to find them sooner? One evening, at a queer community event Diego organized, Marcus saw the triplets in their element. Amara's artwork was displayed, vibrant and bold. Riley read a poem about identity, their voice steady and raw. Diego worked the crowd, his charisma infectious. Marcus stood in the back, tears in his eyes, proud and heartbroken. He'd missed so much, but they'd become extraordinary despite it. After the event, Amara pulled Marcus aside. "I looked up the court records," she said, her voice soft but firm. "You fought for us. I believe you." Marcus's breath caught, and he nodded, unable to speak. Diego joined them, clapping Marcus on the shoulder. "You're not half bad, old man," he said, a grin breaking through. Riley smirked, adding, "Don't get cocky. We're still figuring this out." As spring bloomed in Seattle, so did the fragile bond between Marcus and the triplets. They met regularly now, each encounter peeling back layers of mistrust and pain. But the past wasn't done with them. A letter arrived at Marcus's apartment, forwarded from an old Atlanta address. It was from Vanessa, their mother, dated just weeks ago. She was dying, she wrote, and wanted to see her children one last time. Marcus's hands shook as he read the letter. Vanessa claimed she'd changed, that she regretted taking the triplets. She begged for forgiveness and included an address in Portland. Marcus didn't know what to do. The triplets deserved to know, but would this shatter the trust they'd built? He decided to tell them, bracing for their reactions. They met at a quiet diner, the letter on the table like a ticking bomb. Amara read it first, her face unreadable. Diego's jaw clenched, and Riley's eyes darkened with old hurt. "She left us in foster care," Diego said, his voice low and angry. "Now she wants a reunion?" Amara crumpled the letter, her voice bitter. "She doesn't get to do this. Not after everything." Riley, though, was quieter. "What if she's really dying?" they asked. "What if we regret not going?" The question hung heavy. Marcus stayed silent, letting them decide. After a long debate, they agreed to go to Portland, not for Vanessa but for closure. Marcus offered to drive, and though Diego hesitated, they all agreed. The road trip to Portland was tense, the Pacific Northwest's misty forests blurring past. Marcus tried to keep things light, playing old R&B songs James used to love. Amara sang along softly, Diego drummed his fingers, and Riley stared out the window, lost in thought. At a gas station stop, Diego pulled Marcus aside. "Why are you doing this?" he asked. "You don't owe her anything." Marcus met his gaze. "I'm doing it for you three. You deserve answers." In Portland, they found Vanessa in a small hospice care facility, frail and barely recognizable. Her eyes lit up when she saw the triplets, but their faces were stone. She spoke in a weak voice, apologizing for her choices, for letting fear and shame drive her to take them from Marcus. "I was wrong," she whispered. "I thought I was protecting you." Amara's voice was cold. "You left us. We were 5. Diego's fists clenched, but he stayed silent. Riley, though, asked, "Why didn't you come back for us?" Vanessa's tears fell, but she had no answer. The visit was short, the air heavy with unresolved pain. As they left, Amara took Marcus's hand, a small gesture that felt monumental. The drive back was quieter, but something had shifted. In the weeks that followed, the triplets opened up more. Amara shared her art with Marcus, Diego invited him to a protest, and Riley gave him a poem they'd written about family. Marcus felt like he was finally becoming part of their lives, but he also sensed their lingering wounds. He wondered if he could ever fill the gap left by those lost years. One night, at a small dinner in their apartment, Diego raised a glass. "To Marcus," he said, his voice gruff but warm, "for not giving up." Amara and Riley joined in, their smiles genuine. Marcus's eyes welled up, but he laughed it off, not wanting to ruin the moment. Later, as he helped wash dishes, Amara hugged him, a real, tight hug. "I'm glad we found you," she whispered. Summer arrived, bringing warmth to Seattle and a new rhythm to Marcus's life with the triplets. They'd settled into a tentative routine, weekly dinners, occasional hikes, late-night talks. But the past still cast shadows. Marcus noticed Diego's guardedness, Amara's occasional distance, and Riley's quiet moments of doubt. They were building something, but it was fragile like a house of cards in a breeze. One evening, at a queer pride event in Capitol Hill, Marcus met someone who stirred something long dormant. Javier, a 42-year-old Mexican-American chef with a warm laugh and kind eyes, volunteered at the same booth as Marcus. Their banter was easy, their chemistry undeniable. For the first time since James, Marcus felt a spark of hope for his own happiness. But he hesitated. Would pursuing this distract from his bond with the triplets? He confided in Riley one night, expecting judgment. Instead, Riley smiled. "You deserve to be happy, Marcus. We're not going anywhere." Encouraged, Marcus asked Javier out, and their first date, a walk along Puget Sound, was like rediscovering a part of himself he'd buried. Javier listened to Marcus's story, his eyes full of empathy, and shared his own struggles as a gay man raised in a conservative family. They kissed under the stars, and Marcus felt alive again. But life wasn't done testing them. Amara landed a big art commission, but the stress triggered old insecurities from her foster care days. She pulled away, missing dinners with Marcus. Diego, meanwhile, faced pushback at work for his activism, making him moodier, less open. Riley tried to mediate, but even they struggled with their own doubts about trusting Marcus fully. The triplets' bond with each other was ironclad, but Marcus was still an outsider, fighting to belong. One rainy afternoon, Diego showed up at Marcus's apartment, soaked and angry. "I looked up more about 2001, he said. "The courts screwed you over because you were gay. That's messed up." Marcus nodded, his throat tight. "It was, but I should have fought harder." Diego shook his head. "You were up against a system. It wasn't just you." That conversation marked a turning point. Diego started opening up, sharing stories of his childhood, his dreams. Amara, inspired by Marcus's quiet resilience, began attending dinners again, her art reflecting their growing bond. Riley wrote a poem about Marcus, calling him "the father we found in the rain." Marcus framed it, hanging it in his living room. Javier became a steady presence, joining the family for game nights. The triplets teased Marcus mercilessly, but their warmth toward Javier showed their acceptance. One night, as they all laughed over a board game, Marcus realized this was what he dreamed of: a family, messy and real. By fall, Marcus and the triplets had built something solid, but life demanded one final test. Amara's art show was set to open, a major event showcasing her work and Riley's poetry. Diego had organized the community outreach, ensuring queer youth could attend free. Marcus was there, helping set up, his heart swelling with pride. Javier was by his side, a quiet anchor. The night of the show, the gallery buzzed with energy. Amara's vibrant paintings lined the walls, Riley's words woven into the display. Diego worked the crowd, his passion infectious. But as Marcus watched, he overheard a conversation that chilled him. A social worker he knew mentioned a case from 2001. Vanessa's name came up, along with a rumor she'd left behind a journal detailing why she took the triplets. Marcus's stomach dropped. He hadn't told the triplets about the journal, unsure if it even existed. But Diego overheard, his face darkening. "You knew about this and didn't tell us?" he demanded. Amara and Riley joined, their trust shaken. Marcus explained he'd only just heard the rumor, but the damage was done. The triplets left the gallery, leaving Marcus alone with Javier. Determined to make things right, Marcus tracked down the social worker, who confirmed the journal was real, stored in an Atlanta archive. He flew there the next day, Javier insisting on coming along. The journal was a worn notebook, Vanessa's handwriting shaky but clear. She wrote of her fear in 2001, her belief that Marcus's sexuality would confuse the triplets, her regret for leaving them in foster care. It was a painful read, but it confirmed Marcus's story. Back in Seattle, Marcus met the triplets at their apartment, journal in hand. He let them read it, standing silently as their emotions unfolded. Amara cried, Diego cursed, and Riley sat still, processing. She was wrong, Riley said finally. But so was the system, and we're here now. The journal closed a chapter, but it also opened a new one. The triplets forgave Marcus, their trust stronger for it. At a quiet Thanksgiving dinner, hosted by Javier, they laughed and shared stories, the weight of the past lighter. Marcus looked around the table. Amara's bright smile, Diego's easy grin, Riley's thoughtful gaze, Javier's hand in his, and felt whole. Years later, Marcus would remember that drugstore moment as the start of everything. The triplets, now his family, had taught him that love could survive loss, that time could heal even the deepest wounds. They'd found each other, not just in aisle 7, but in every moment since, building a future where no one could take them away again.